Hello and welcome to Racers Now. Just when you thought the flat season was over, we go off to Santa Anita in California for the Breeders' Cup, and there is plenty of UK and Irish and French runners to have a look at. So we're going to have a quick run through the main contenders from this side of the pond. And the beauty is at this stage, even on Tuesday afternoon, we've already got the final fields, the draw, and even the reserve for some of these races. So that's good news for punters. There's plenty to look forward to over the 2 days, Friday and Saturday evening British time, and much of it is live on ITV3. Concentrating our efforts on the turf races for the purpose of this video, but there's also plenty of Grade 1 races on the dirt. Most of those are dominated by American runners, as that's what they race on over here, and we do not. First things first, Santa Anita is the Breeders' Cup host this year. It changes every year, sometimes Keeneland, Del Mar, Santa Anita, etc. Well, Santa Anita, think of Chester, but possibly even tighter, and it's in California. So Chester in California, what's not to like? There's almost certain to be some unlucky losers, and you won't want to be missing the break over this tight track, that is for sure. California, unsurprising, the going is quick as you like at the moment, and there is not much rain forecast, so look out for that as well. So yeah, it's mainly the juvenile races on the Friday, and then into the really big stuff, the open age 3-year-olds and above on Saturday. The first race for British punters to look forward to is the Juvenile Turf Sprint on Friday evening. That's at 9 o'clock UK time. Big Evs is currently in there as the favourite for Mick Appleby to be ridden by Tom Marquand. I mean, this Big Evs got found out when going off just 5-1 for the Numthorpe at York back in August, but that was a 2-year-old versus the older horses, which is always difficult. Yeah, he finished nowhere there, but Big Evs did bounce back with authority at Doncaster just 3 weeks later. That was against his own age group in a Group 2. Point, fire, never saw another rival. It was impressive at Doncaster. Stall 4 for this Breeders' Cup race on Friday looks fine for Big Evs, and like you can see on screen, he is 5-2, 3-1. Second favourite is an American horse, but one that British fans may well be familiar with. That is Crimson Advocate, who won at Royal Ascot in June and beating Relief Rally in a close finish that day. Relief Rally has gone on to much bigger and better things since then, but this Crimson Advocate hasn't been seen on the track since then. That was in June. That would be a slight concern, but Stall 1 looks a big plus for him, and he's 5-1. I'll be having a go on Givemethebeatboys, I think, at 12-1 each way. I mean, he was effectively second in the Coventry at Royal Ascot. That was behind River Tide, but he was on the wrong side there, officially fourth, but ran a cracker and has ran in decent level in serious Group 1s on his last 2 starts. At the Curragh and at Newmarket. He's never ran over 5 furlongs, this Givemethebeatboys. And Jessica Harrington did talk about maybe going up to 7 furlongs at some stage. So coming back to 5 furlongs here, the truth is we don't know if we'll like it or not. But it is a long way to go from Ireland to Santa Anita as a bit of an experiment and to find out. So I'm taking it on a given that this Givemethebeatboys has been showing plenty of speed at home, and he won't mind a drop down to 5 furlongs, and it's well worth a go. Yeah, he's 12-1 each way. You're going to need a lot of luck in these sprint races. Hopefully you can get some, and yeah, 12-1 would be the first bet advised of the week. On to the 10:20 on Friday night, the Juvenile Fillies Turf. This is over a mile. 3 of the 14 declared are coming from this side of the Atlantic. Caller's Way is up there as favourite at 7-2 for the Crisford team, Simon and Ed, son and father partnership. Yeah, I mean, this Caller's Way certainly had a form boost from her most recent win in a Group 2 Rockfell Stakes at Newmarket. The second and third that day went on to be second and first in the Group 1 Fillies Mile just 2 weeks later at Newmarket. So the form has definitely been boosted there. Although the Rockfell Stakes, if you go back and watch that, it was definitely run to suit this Caller's Way, who did it pretty much from the front. That she did have one rival up the front, but the second and third, who were finishing late, were miles back. Certainly suited Caller's Way. The way that was run, that was a career best, and she does deserve her chance here for sure. She's drawn in 9. That potentially wouldn't be ideal for Caller's Way. Porta Fortuna, his second fav in there around 11-2. She's been busy this season at a high level. She won at Royal Ascot and was better than ever when winning a Group 1 Cheveley Park Stakes at Newmarket last month. I mean, that race, to be fair, at Newmarket didn't look to have much depth to it. There was much of a muchness in behind, in my opinion, and this Porta Fortuna hasn't won over further than 6 furlongs as yet. That this is a mile over 2 turns, so they would probably call it an easy mile, definitely compared to the UK and Ireland. Content is the other European runner in this race for Aidan O'Brien, but she does need a big step up. In truth, it's a no-bet race. There are a handful of dangerous-looking American contenders whose form looks good, but, I mean, I don't know a lot about them, let's be honest. On to the 11:40 on Friday night, so you'll be staying up late if you want to see this one, but it probably is worth it. The Juvenile Turf for the boys, similar to the last race, and as a similar makeup really to the fillies race that we've just spoke about. 14 runners, 3 of them from Europe, all 3 actually, in fact, trained by Aidan O'Brien. 2 of them are at the top of the market. River Tiber for Ryan Moore, the Coventry winner, and third in 2 Group 1 since, and then Unquestionable, also for Aidan O'Brien, in different colours for Frankie Dettori will be riding that one. This Unquestionable has actually only won 1 race. That was back in May, but he has been knocking on the door in plenty of big races since. Neither have been tried over a mile yet, but again, it's a 2-turn mile, and they might well be okay. Both by Wootton Bassett, so both would have a chance of staying this easy mile. Unquestionable, slightly more on the breeding, you'd have thought. I'd side with Unquestionable if I had to pick one, but not as far as putting up an official selection. He's in there at 4-1. I think he should be probably closer to River Tiber in the betting, to be fair. On to the Saturday then. First up is the Fillies and Mares Turf at 7:10. This is over 10 furlongs. And there's 5 Europeans and 7 from the home team. And it's really interesting, as it might be too far for Inspiral, who's normally racing over a mile, and not far enough for Warm Hot, who's been racing over a mile and a half. Inspiral goes up in trip for the first time in what could be a last ever run, possibly a career best when winning the Sun Chariot at Newmarket 4 weeks ago. She's also won the French Group 1 but in back-to-back years at over a mile there. She certainly can show her form when she wants to, sometimes a little bit in and out. Yeah, she has been beaten at a short price a couple of times in Spiral, but she certainly looks in form at the moment. Warm Heart has won back-to-back Group 1s. That's over a mile and a half, and you can surely see this happening, this being a bit quick for her, really. I mean, over a turning and tight 10 furlongs, I think she wants further this Warm Heart and could be found out. I do think, though, there is a bet in here for me, and it's the best bet of the meeting. With the Moonlight for Charlie Appleby, at the bottom of the screen there, in at 20-1. We could talk all day about the year that Charlie and Godolphin have had or haven't had in terms of top-level success, but Appleby's strike rate at the Breeders' Cup is second to none. It is sensational. And as we've seen this season, Appleby doesn't run horses in top-level races for the sake of it. If he doesn't have the ammo, and he hasn't had the ammo this year, he just won't be running. But with the Moonlight, has clearly been aimed at this for some time. She's had 5 starts this year. Just one of them has been in the UK. That was way back in May. She's had the whole of June, the whole of July, and the whole of August and September off. She returned to be second in a Grade 1 in Canada 27 days ago. That was in the EP Taylor Stakes, a race that Charlie Appleby has won on multiple occasions before. And that was with the Moonlight's first run since May, and she looked as if she probably needed the run, and hopefully she'll come on for that. She is going to need a career best this with the Moonlight, but the track, the trip, the ground, the draw, the campaign, they're all fine for her, and I think 20-1 looks too big for me. I do really like that bet each way. And if you're back in with the Moonlight like me, you have to give a mention to Fev Rover, who's in there at about anything between 10 and 14-1 Fev Rover. And she beat with the Moonlight last time in that Grade 1 EP Taylor Stakes in Canada. Fair and square, fair enough. Fev Rover might be a familiar name, as she was trained a couple of years ago by Richard Fahey in the UK to a couple of victories there. So shout out to Fev Rover, but I do think with the Moonlight will come on for that run. A promising second, and she's been aimed and campaigned for this for a long time, in my opinion. I do really like with the Moonlight 20-1. At 8:30 on Saturday night UK time, the Turf Mile is what you're going to be watching. We've got 1,000 guineas winner Morge topping the betting in there between 9-4 and 3-1. She won the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket back in May, and she hasn't been seen since then until the 14th of October, a couple of weeks ago at Keeneland. It was a long gap. She was obviously had a setback and wasn't fully fit, but it was good to see her back to winning form. It looked a soft Grade 1 in truth, and she goes into open age and open sex company for the first time. She's never raced against older horses. She's never raced against males, both of which she will encounter here. The Japanese have certainly made their mark on the international stage in recent years and racking up wins anywhere from Dubai to Saudi and to the Breeders' Cup. They rely on Songline here, a 2-time Grade 1 winner in Japan earlier this year before a midsummer break, and bang unlucky in her prep run when she was second by a nose and hampered in running. That's Songline. Master of the Seas, remember him? He was a short head second in the 2000 Guineas a couple of years ago, back in 2021. He's another Godolphin horse that has been campaigned internationally this year. His last 2 starts have been in North America, very much with this race in mind. Charlie Appleby has won this race in the last 2 seasons, so he knows what it takes to win here, but this Master of the Seas is a bigger price and less fancied than those last 2 runners that he's had. Stall 14 is a long way from ideal for Master of the Seas. So is 10 for Songline, to be fair, and so is stall 11 for the French raider Kalina. That isn't great either. This Kalina won on the Foray on Arc Day at Longchamp. That was a Group 1, but it was on very quick ground. And yeah, quick ground might be a good sign for what he's going to encounter at Santa Anita this week, but could have gone down as a fluke because he'd not really shown much form at the top level before then. So with 3 of the top 4 in the market drawn wide, it does look at a race ripe for an upset. Or Morge could possibly go on against her elders, and she's drawn in stall 6 is Morge, so she's got a better draw than the other 3 behind her. But yeah, it's a no bet race, this one for me. I think there is potential for a big upset from one of the home team. On to the 950, and this is the race of the meeting. Could be the turf race of the year. This is an absolute cracker. The Breeders' Cup Turf, over 1.5 miles, dual derby and Irish Champion Stakes winner Auguste Rodin in there at 5-2. The best 10 furlong horse in Britain, Mostahdaf, in there at a similar price, slightly bigger, 3-1. Recent Champion Stakes winner and Epsom Derby runner-up, King of Steel, is in there. Arc third, Ernesto is in there, plus some very, very good American contenders. I mean, starting with Auguste Rodin, what do we make of him? This is how his form reads. A Group 1 win, complete blowout. A Group 1 win, a Group 1 win, complete blowout, another Group 1 win. I mean, connections absolutely love Auguste Rodin. He's the Epsom Derby winner, the Irish Derby winner, the Irish Champion Stakes winner, but he doesn't necessarily have a reliable profile for punting purposes. And those 2 blowouts have come in the 2000 Guineas at Newmarket and the King George at Ascot. Both times, obviously, he has travelled from Ireland to another country. He has blown out there, although he did win a Group 1 as a 2-year-old in Doncaster, so that involves some international travel as well. What do we make of his travel issues? I don't know. Sometimes you just have to rely on the connections to get it right, and that's what we might have to do here. But Santa Anita is a lot further away from Tipperary than the likes of Ascot and Newmarket, let's be honest. Mostahdaf ultimately might not be as talented as Auguste Rodin, but he's definitely more reliable. And this has looked a perfect race for Mostahdaf for some time, in my opinion. He has had a slightly interrupted prep, which might not be ideal. Mostahdaf was entered in the British Champion Stakes at Ascot 2 weeks ago. That was very bad ground, and he was only pulled out just about an hour before the race. So how did his training go? Has he had to be tapered off? It's only 2 weeks between now and then. Was he ready to peak at Ascot? Not sure. So that might be a worry for Mostahdaf, but I mean, he's clearly showed his form this year. On quick ground, he has been pretty much unstoppable in the UK, winning the at the Princess Wales or at Royal Ascot, winning the Juddmonte International at York. So yeah, really solid profile, Mostahdaf, fast ground, and this you can get 1.5 miles because with the turning nature of Santa Anita. King of Steel was better than ever, winning the British Champion Stakes that Mostahdaf didn't run in. That was on very bad ground, some underperforming rivals that day, and the jockey on the second in the Champion Stakes actually dropped his whip. So that makes it somewhat questionable form for King of Steel, but you've got to take your hats off for him to giving King of Steel a go here. And let's see how he gets on. Then there's the leading American hope, Up to the Mark, who has won 3 Grade 1s on the spin this season, so he could definitely be a threat. He's in there at about 8-1 for the home team, but it is Mostahdaf for me, 3-1, and I would happily back him. The Breeders' Cup Classic is the big race for the American fans, possibly the big race of the whole season for them. I've got no idea of the form or who will run, and it's just the 2.6 million to the winner of the Breeders' Cup Classic, so good luck to them. Just the one more race to look forward to from a British and Irish point of view, and that is at 11:25 Saturday night. Hopefully you're still awake, and this is the Breeders' Cup Turf, the Breeders' Cup Sprint Turf. A similar story to most of the other turf races we've covered, really. 12 runners, 2 Europeans at the top of the market, the American Challenge coming at around 10-1 or bigger. It's basically living the dream versus Bradsell from a UK perspective. Aidan does have one in there, Aesop's Fable, but yeah, he's going to have to step up massively on what he's done recently. Shock winner of the Numthorpe was Living the Dream versus half of a shock winner of the King Stand, Bradsell. Luck is clearly going to be required to win a 5 furlong sprint race on this track. It's very tight, very quick. And it must be said that the home team have actually won 9 of the last 10 renewals have been won by the Americans. So most years, particularly a UK runner, will turn up in this, one of our best sprinters, and quite more often than not, as you can tell by the stats, has been turned over in 9 of the last 10. If I had to choose between the big two, it probably would be Living the Dream. I think he's had a better prep in terms of for this specific race. He's been over to America and had a go. He's been training. This has been clearly the aim since the middle of August, whereas Bradsell's been a bit busier. They've been training for the gate speed at home and the bell, which they ring in America before the start. So I do think Living the Dream has had a better specific prep for this race. A draw in store 5 should be fine for Living the Dream. He's normally pretty quick away from the gates, the stalls. He was at York. He was at Newmarket early in the season. There's no reason why he can't do that again. So it would be Living the Dream if you had to pick between the two. They are of a very similar price, 4-1 and 9-2. But it is a no-bet race with so many unknowns about the opposition. But I'll be sitting, I'll be watching, and I'll be hoping that one of the Brits wins at least. I think they've both got a great chance, and hopefully they can win. So there's 3 bets will be in the description as normal. Give me the Beat Boys each way. Mostahdaf to win, and the bet of the weekend for me is 20-1 with the Moonlight each way. That's a good bet in my opinion. They'll all be in the description as usual. And thanks for watching, and thanks for tuning in to Racers Now.